So I was in here sanding yesterday, and all at once I got attacked by this little wood bee. And usually those things do not sting, but this one was pretty violent about it and attacked my arm, and it really hurt. And the only thing I can figure is this sander kind of looks like a bee, and it kind of sounds like a bee, and I have a feeling he must have thought I was doing unspeakable things to his mother, so he went ahead and attacked me. But that's all I can figure. So hopefully now that that's behind us, we can get some work done. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man, and we're going to do some more work on the 550 diesel. You have not seen this for a while. This is a tractor that belongs to a customer, and I've been slowly plugging away at it at our laundry list of things. But the first thing I had to do was to get it down far enough that I could actually, you know, see what all its issues were and start fixing them. So originally I was just gonna slap a valve cover gasket on it, then go ahead and move on. But the more I looked, the more, this is probably the dirtiest tractor I think I've ever worked on. It was covered with all kinds of stuff, and I just felt like we needed to clean it up before we could do anything, so that when we're done we know that we've accomplished something and it's not leaking anywhere. So also, another thing I had to do, if you recall in that last video, I noticed that these bolts were loose up here, so I wanted to see, you know, what was going on, whether they would hold or whatever. So that led to taking the battery box out, which led to cleaning it. You know, might as well give it a coat of paint so it doesn't rust. Not necessarily great qualities, but it is the right color, so we can move on. I also noticed while doing all this that this wiring is a disaster. I mean, it's full of stuff like this. Come on, people. If you're going to run a new wire, take it all the way to the end. Why would you do this? And it's full of these all through here. So we're going to continue on and just rewire it while we're at it. I've got a new key switch in the house, an Oliver style key switch, which I'm sure he will appreciate, as he has other Olivers, and that makes it handy. If you lose the key, you don't have to hunt for a special key. So that's my thinking there. We still have to change the valve cover gasket. I decided to go ahead and clean this up first, give it a shot of paint, then we'll take this off, put the new gasket on, and so have you. So that's what we're gonna do there. The battery cables were atrocious. I mean, they were not very good, so I got new cables. I'm not trying to spend his money, but at the same rate, he wants it to be a good usable tractor, and I don't feel I'm doing anything that I wouldn't have done if it was my own. So that's where we are. So my vision, I guess, for this video is we're going to put lock washers on those bolts, make sure they tighten up good, put the battery tray back in, hook up the throttle linkage. What else do I want to do? Get the valve cover gasket on if possible. And then that's probably going to be enough for one video, but just everything on it needs some slight attention. This hose and the hose up here are garbage. So I found a radiator hose at Napa that was the right diameter, and I sawed out the 90-degree bend so that I had that hose, because I could not find that anywhere. Then I'm going to use one of the straight pieces and hopefully replace that, which I'm going to have to do one of two ways. Probably I'm going to just end up taking the sheet metal off of here eventually so I can get in here and work. Otherwise I'm going to have to take that power steering pump loose to be able to get this tube to drop down to do the thing to make it go. But we're going to have to be in here anyway, because working on that steering, that's the next big to do, is working on the steering. So I'm going to take this part of the dash loose to get in there and work on that. I didn't want to have to replace his steering lines, just, you know, for the sake of replacing them, because they don't look necessarily that old, but they are pretty bad, especially in there. So I'd say that we're probably going to end up, before this is done, putting new lines on there. Like I said, he did provide some parts as far as like gauge, steering wheel, some seals, but there's, yeah, still more stuff that it's going to need. I'm going to make him a new line, return fuel line. I'll show you the old one, maybe. Yeah, this is the old one. Definitely not good. So I'm going to use steel for most of it, and then I'll cut it and put a little section of rubber for the vibration aspect of it, so it's not, you know, so it doesn't vibrate a crack in it, because your motor and your sheet metal are kind of isolated, so you want to have some place it can flex. So that's what we'll do. But a short end of rubber hose is much better than a humongous long end of rubber hose, so that's my plan. So I suppose I'm going to start with these bolts and then bolt back in the battery tray. All right, got distracted on the phone talking to Moline Dan, who might have found me another project. We'll have to see how that goes. I'm not sure if it's something I want to tackle or not, but if I do, I'm sure you will see it. But until then, we'll stick with all the projects we have. So I'm hoping that there's nothing wrong in here. And the only thing is just that some lazy person didn't tighten the bolts all the way. That's our best case scenario there, you know. It feels good. It doesn't feel like it's going to get loose, and the diesels have so much vibration that that's probably what was his problem. Okay, well, they're tight now. That's a good thing. How's this one? Oh, that one's loose because it's a through bolt and I took something off of it. So that's okay. This is going to lay underneath of here, as will eventually our wiring, which I can always feed that through at that time because there is space underneath the battery tray. I feel like I want to put the battery tray in just so I don't have stuff laying everywhere. I don't think it's really going to be in my way of anything else. When I take the sheet metal off there, it shouldn't affect me. I did find that one of the bolts was not in the hole, so I'm not sure what was up with that. I tapped the hole out and it's clean. It just didn't have a bolt in it. I'm a fan of putting all the bolts back in. Some people aren't. Some people think one or two is good enough. I don't know. I just kind of feel like all of them are probably what you want. Okay, before we bolt that down, I realized something. It'll be much easier to put back in this throttle linkage before you bolt it down. So, and what I'm saying is this right here to your injection pipe has to go into, if I can get it out of there, into that piece right up in there. You can't see a thing I'm doing, so can I do something to make you see more better? You see where we're headed here? Right there. So I have to get, I'm sure that this is possible with it on there, but it would just be easier like this, because I didn't take this part off of the battery tray, which you could do. Let's put you there. You're out of the way there. Come on. Come on. Oh, you know what else would have been great to bring out here? A flashlight. Ooh. Flashlight. Yep. Drop the cotter key, or cotter pin. That's good. This ain't going great, friends. What else is new? Usually when it gets to be the end of the day, that's when our productivity goes downhill much quick. Because we just don't have our heart set on it anymore. Well, we can go get another one. That ain't no big deal. It's just the idea that now I gotta go get something. Come on. There we go. Sure. See why it's easier to do it when it's not bolted down? Okay, there we go. Now we got ourselves in a mess here. How did we do that? What have we done? There we go. Now, before you say, or whatever you would say about this piece of wire, what has happened here, if you own one, you'll know. This link between the throttle and the actual hand lever on the dash does this exact thing. The ball pops out of the socket, you ain't got nothing. So people come up with all kinds of solutions like this, where this guy, whoever owned this before this one now, I assume is the one who did this, takes this wire and loops it around one and then ties it up to this other one, however, you know, and ta-da, you have your link again. And the reason, oops, well, when nothing's bolted down, I'm not too anxious to replace that, and the reason being, the new one you get is almost $100, if not $100 by now. And the last one I put on didn't even last a day. It broke off on the threads. This is an Agco piece. That's where I got it from. And like I said, it was expensive. It didn't last a day. And then it was useless. It was a, you know, $100 paperweight or whatever it cost me at the time. Not quite that much. So I ended up welding mine. The nut piece was still attached on the ball socket, but it sheared off at the thread, so I spot welded mine on each side so that it was connected so I could get some use out of it. I think that was in the Super 55. So I understand why the wire is on here, and I'm not sure that I would do anything differently right now. I'll ask him if he wants to spend the bucks, but this will work. I mean, all the wire is doing is holding it up in there. The pressure of the pushing and pulling is still on the original piece, which is a better design maybe than the new one. So I'm not knocking this, is what I'm saying. I mean, it looks silly when you look at it and you think, oh, what a cobbled up piece. Well, if it looks silly but it works, is it really silly? I don't like the way this looks. I would rather do something differently, but you know, what are our options? Somebody needs to design a better reproduction piece to take the place of this little link, because it ain't cool to spend $100 and then have it self-destruct on you. So, alright. Our throttle linkage is back in the realm of the living here. Now let's try to put these down where they need to go. Boy, we have spent a lot of time and not made much progress on this. I'm telling you. It's just not happening tonight very good. I don't record everything I do, you know. I've been working on this tractor and not making videos on it. I mean, I'm being paid to fix it, not make videos, so I'm going to video it when it's convenient and not hindering anything I'm doing. So then I remembered, I was looking around, I couldn't find the battery for this. I remember that the battery was junk, so we do need to get a new battery. The battery that was in it wouldn't hold a charge or do anything, so there's going to be our throttle cable when we get that far, but we're going to hold off on that because of we need to take the dash off, so we can clean this piece up and have it ready to slide back on. I'll set it aside here. So that licks that part of it anyway, even though every time I touch everything I knock dirt loose from somewhere up higher. What else are we gonna do? Oh, valve cover gasket if we could. And yeah, there's some stuff on the other side of the engine we can put together again that I took apart because it was just caked. I'm talking like solid, like a ½ inch thick of grease and oil and gunk. So that's why, you know, I tried to scrape it down to bare metal and get it in a little bit better shape. Not show quality, but clean and the right color. We got a new sender we can put in at some point. I will probably hold off on that for right now because I'm not sure the one that came is the right one, the one that was in his box of parts. So we'll hold off on that. The big thing is going to be the steering. It's hard to psych myself up to do that because that could be a rabbit hole of sadness. And the more I look at this tractor, I'm starting to think that the power steering was added. I'm wondering if this really was in fact a power steering tractor or whether somebody added it after the fact, because we've got blue cylinders and a blue steering box. It is possible that they got rebuilt stuff and slapped it on, but I'm just wondering if this wasn't like a aftermarket kit that was adapted, or maybe they found pieces to do it and then bought these brackets off of a salvage yard, or maybe the dealer could still get them. I don't know. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing though, because these appear to be rebuildable, which the originals were not. So we'll investigate that at some point. We're going to take the spindles out and check the bearings and bushings, and I've got all that new, came in the box, so we'll put that in. And yeah, it's just a lot of stuff to do. It's hard to get your mind geared up for it, but I like where we're headed now. At least progress is being made, more than it was for a long time. So what else I've got here? I've got this new muffler we could put on. His was very rotted out and welded up and cobbled, and maybe I do not have a clamp, so I might be getting a clamp tomorrow. I might be making some pieces too. Okay, well, here's the original clamp, but it is paper thin. I'm not sure that that would do us a whole lot of good. So, you know, yeah, I don't know that we're gonna go that route. I may just get a regular muffler style clamp like you can get now and put in there. That would be just as good. Not original, but there's sufficient room there, and that would definitely take care of that. I'll need to get one for this. So I need to measure all that because I'm not sure exactly what's our deal. And I might do something different here, I don't know. But yeah, that'll be much more better than what he had. Okay, as I am good at procrastination, I'm going to move over to this side now. I wasn't happy, and that's another reason why I say I'm probably going to end up, what am I trying to say? I'm probably going to end up replacing these steering hoses because the way it worked out, the voltage regulator was sandwiched between these two, and I really don't like that. I felt like that could be much better than it was. This piece has to go in there, right? Yeah. Put the voltage regulator on first, actually. But anyway, I feel like if this top hose, which I don't know if you can see, it's up, the power steering pump sits up here, and your hoses run back. I think this one, if it had a 45 fitting on it, it would push it out this way more, and I could keep both of these hoses kind of to the outside of everything else that's going on. And I think that would be a lot better as far as not having things crushed in there on top of each other. I might be wrong, as usually I am, but I just feel like if we're going to replace the hoses, or if we weren't sure if we were, maybe that's another reason why we should, if you know what I'm saying. I'm still out on that. I don't know if that's what I want to do or not. Okay, so what you don't see off camera here is that I'm putting the voltage regulator back on to this bracket, which is not necessarily going that well. It's not necessarily going bad, just it could be better. And I have no idea if it was even charging or anything, because like I said, I ran it very little, and the battery that was in it was totally garbage, so it could very well be that this is junk anyway. But you see how there's just very little room to work here, and yeah, we're just not having a great time, friends. Okay, we're just not having a good time. There. And I believe when I took this off that this hose was actually behind that terminal, and the terminal was in between the two. So that's why I'm saying I don't know that I like that. I think it would be better if it was not that way. I did in fact take this off like this though, so I know I can put it back on with the voltage regulator on, because you're gonna say, oh, it's in the way and you could have put it on so much easier with the, you know, I don't know that you could. I mean, this is very much wedged in here, everything, and that's what I want to try to make better on our journey of sadness here. Come on. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. I left a wire on here so that I'd know which one went to where, because somebody who rewired this tractor used all yellow wire on absolutely everything. When he wasn't splicing 6 inches from the end, he was using yellow wire on absolutely everything. So, oh well. We will continue our journey at a later time here. I'm going to also service the tractor, obviously, while I've got it this far, because you know, we've had the whole fuel system apart, so we might as well put new fuel filters on as we go. I also discovered in my travels here that this tachometer cable is junk, so that's something I need to add to my list of parts. I've been trying to make a mental list here and then also write it down, because I won't remember if I don't do that. let's see, 550 diesel tack cable. All right, are we together? I think those two brackets are back in place. Okay, we got that done. What else do we need to do? There is a new oil sender in the box, so we can put that on, which is good because this one is hand loose. So that's probably a good thing to do. What else? We rewire it. We're definitely going to put these wires back where they need to go, because they're not even in the right spot. You know, they're just kind of dangling out here. This is supposed to go like in here, but I'm going to take these wires underneath the battery tray and come out through here, I believe, so that we can catch that loom on the block and get them out of the way. That would be my preferred way on that. I would rather have these hanging out to the side a little more and have that other stuff tucked in. So, you know, maybe I can make a clamp or something to hold them out here better. I don't know. I just don't like this. I don't like this severe bend. I think I could improve on that. Whatever. Talking ain't working, so we just as well get at it. Whew. We'll have to clean this probably a little bit better before we put it back together. Should be a copper washer. Oh well, that one came loose with it. I usually put a dab of Permatex on these threads just so that the oil doesn't follow up and make a mess anyway. This tractor was definitely leaking, I'll tell you that, because it was a mess everywhere. Well, can't really get that off of there, so come on. There's that. All right. Doesn't look too bad in there. And you might call me crazy, but I am not going to even mess with these at all, because this tractor ran excellent and I don't feel that I can improve on that. If we find that we need to, we can always go back and do it later. It's really not that hard to get to once you get the fuel tank out of the way. I'm gonna clean that up a little better. I will double check everything here just to look it over, but like I said, I can improve zero on how this tractor ran. It starts perfect, it runs perfect. It's one of the best running tractors I've messed with, so there's really no benefit to screwing that up. There's nothing I can do can make that part of it better. So I would rather leave well enough alone. We're just gonna stop some leaks here. Stop some leaks. This consequently is why I like to change the oil after doing something like this, because there is a high chance that we'll knock some schmutz in there. So I would rather just go ahead and clean it up and then give it an oil change. Here's a good example of why silicone is not always your friend. Look at all these tails that were hanging inside of the moving part of the engine. A little is good, a lot is bad. But for stuff like this, I glue the gasket on with weather strip adhesive and then leave the other side dry, so you've always got, you can take it on and off, is what I'm saying. I'm gonna lay this shield here to keep this off of what we're working on. Look at that. Look at it. Alright, time to wash. Time to wash. I got a message, I think. What is that? Okay, not important. Okay, this is a little bit different gasket than typically what I've used. I don't think that I'll try it end to end. I've tried it different ways. It does fit better one way than another. And the only thing is this one corner up front is not exactly what I want, but I think I can fix that whilst gluing. So 3M weather strip adhesive. That's the fluid of choice that I like to use. And I'll just go to town. Hopefully. Usually once you stick this down, you can pull it up one time, and then after that it sticks pretty darn good. But our trick here is we don't want to get any on the surface like I'm doing. Usually if they have a lip on them, then I'll let them sit with clothespins and sit there and dry. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to get it perfect as we can, and then we're going to flip it over on there and put it on and just let it sit with the weight of the valve cover. We'll bolt it down later on after this gets a chance to dry. See there, I made a boo-boo. I want it to be as perfect as possible, see? Sometimes that's not easy. I don't want extra stuff inside or on the top. Just want it to be the shape of the gasket. Alright. I'm gonna go with that, which may or may not be right, but I'm gonna roll with it. So we've got that on there. I'm going to let it sit and not disturb it. It appears that I have it fine. I see the gasket. I pulled it off again and checked it because I wasn't sure if I had it everywhere, but it is on there evenly, just like I had it when I put it on. So I'm going to leave that alone. Tomorrow I will come back and tighten it down. But you can see in there is the gasket, and then that will have this part. Alright, so at least we have made some progress on this little feller. We'll bolt that down next time, clean it up, touch up, paint it if we have to. I don't know if I'm that concerned about it as much as I was about cleaning it up and getting the bare metal covered. So there's a lot more to do, and I mean, I've had it here long enough. I really need to get after it. I know he says he's not in a hurry, but it just seems like I should be in more of a hurry than that. I haven't got a lot done on it, and that's not fair. So I'm gonna get after it, and hopefully I will have this ready by the time I get his engine block and head back for that 1650 that's in pieces. And when he comes to get this, he can bring me that, and then I'll have, you know, I can jump right into that project, build the motor, and then put her together and see what we got on that, because that will be a puzzle. Who knows what we'll find on that one. But anyway, I think we'll call this video here. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.